Okay, this game came out last year, I know, I'm really late with this, and I wanted to review it last year, but I didn't have the time in my schedule, I had too many other games I wanted to review, but now the Royal Edition is out, and I thought, I've got a gap in my schedule, I can do it now. So, let's take a look at one of the world's most popular turn-based action games.
Never fear! Proctor's here! Oh, Mr. Nice Guy! You're on fire today! What can I say?
Did I say turn-based? I meant action hack and slash. Okay, this is still Final Fantasy 15. Enjoy. Or don't. Seriously, I thought this was supposed to be a turn-based game.
Wait until the marshal finds out. Stand by. Oh, is that what Cora's going on about? And darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me.
You know, now that I do video game reviews, I do find myself quite frequently looking back at the past and thinking to myself, there's a lot of video games that I haven't actually played before. Final Fantasy is one of them. I've never played a single game of part of the series before. Never. And this game kind of makes me wonder what took me so long. I've been feeling like that for quite a while since I started this channel. And yet, this Final Fantasy game is so unlike previous Final Fantasy games, I'm not so sure it makes a difference in this case. Most if not all of the Final Fantasy series is critically acclaimed and is well liked by its fan base. And this latest game does seem to have divided opinions somewhat. Some fans like it, others hate the changes, but being a first timer I can just look at this game as an individual game and see what I make of it. And what's the first thing this awesome game has in store for us? Pushing a car down a road. Very, very, very slowly. Really? That's the first thing you have us do? It's a bit boring. Fortunately, this section doesn't last very long. You push it to the local garage, the fan service fixes your car up, well, at least they got it out of the way early. And from there, you're free to roam the open world at your leisure. And the first time that you do, only one word will spring to mind. Well, I suppose 2 words.
Oh, I know what we're doing! Road trip! Come on!
Time and time again, as you're driving around this massive world, the point will be hammered home. Everything about this game screams road trip. You play the part of Prince Noctis, and he's driving around the open world with 3 of his friends. Each member of the team has their own capabilities in a fight or in the world in general, and you drive around the world in the Regalia, which is this very pretty looking car. The Regalia, by the way, can be customised in case you don't think it's pretty enough to start with.
Go on, pick a color. She's all ready for you. Have a look.
And I hope you like the Regalia because you'll be spending a lot of time with it. Like a lot of time. No, more than that. No, still more.
Everything in order?
Yep.
Yeah, there are times when you'll feel like half the game is taken up by driving to and fro the various locations. The world itself is, well, it has plenty of decent story missions in it, but for the size of the map, you will at times feel like the map is a bit on the empty side. There's a lot of countryside that you can just roam through, and there's really not much there. There are random collectibles like plants and various things you can pick up, ores to make paint and whatnot. But generally speaking, you'll spend what feels like half your time in the car. At least until you hit the halfway point in the story. And then for some reason, the game deviates from this frankly brilliant road trip adventure and becomes more linear and more directional. The story directs you through multiple locations halfway through and beyond, and suddenly it's less about the side content and less about the road trip feel and more about just trying to get to the end. It's very weird. It suddenly feels like you're playing a different game. Now don't get me wrong, the visuals in this game, no matter whether you're in the open free roaming levels or you're in the more linear focused areas later on, the levels look gorgeous. But in most of the areas the game looks great. It sounds great as well. There's massive swelling orchestral music whenever a fight breaks out.
One shot! Hey, where'd you learn that one, Doc?
And then you've got the slow, gentle background music when you're just roaming around in the open world. It's all very well done. And the actual missions themselves are well done. The side missions are not just like filler content, you know, like Assassin's Creed has the Eagle Towers that you always have to climb up to the top of. You know how the song sheets always blow away from you, or treasure chests that you have to go around and open up. This game doesn't really have any of that. All of the side quests have their own individual story, their own characters. Most of the time. Some of the characters are, you know, throwaway, forgettable types and they're not developed at all. But the missions themselves are always interestingly done. This is side mission content done right. And each mission naturally has a level number, which ideally you have to match because most of the missions involve combat. Now, combat is very straightforward in this game. You have a basic attack, you just hold one button to attack continuously, and you hold one button to continuously defend. Besides that, you get a warp strike where you can teleport straight up to the enemy and deliver a powerful slash with your current weapon. The further you teleport, the more damage is done. And you can also backstab the enemy. Striking the enemy in the back does more damage. If you're lucky and you get right in the sweet spot behind the enemy, your teammates, or at least one of them, will join in and perform a link strike, which deals a ton of damage. Get used to doing link strikes. Besides that, there are two gauges that fill up during combat. There's the tech bar, which fills usually whenever your allies or yourself get injured or deliver a blow. The tech bar fuels your allies' special abilities, you know, kind of like a turn-based RPG might use. And then Noctis himself has the armature meter, which you run around the open world and you collect these royal arms, which are basically like regular weapons, except when you whack the enemy with them, A, they do a ton of damage, and B, they drain your health. So you've got to be a bit careful with them, have lots of healing potions. But the point is that the armature gauge, once full, allows you to summon your entire royal arsenal and launch it at the enemy simultaneously. And then there are the summons. Holy shit.
Careful first.
Taking him down.
Summons are bloody ridiculous. They're overpowered as hell. At least against most things, they deal a ton of damage. And they're basically dealt by gods. You have to seek out the gods in the game and earn their favour. It isn't quite that simple though, and this is where a slight irritation comes in, because the tech bar and the armature gauge, you can see those on screen, and you can save them up for when you need them. But summons don't work like that. The gods assist you at random, and to make matters even more confusing, certain gods can only assist you in certain areas. I mean, this guy with Judgment Bolt, this guy that hurls the huge lightning bolt at the ground, that guy can appear anywhere in the entire game, and thank God, because otherwise there'd be areas you couldn't summon an ultimate to. Additionally, each god requires you to satisfy certain conditions. And by the way, the only reason I know all of this is because I had to go online and look it up. Because there's no online on-screen gauge, and because the game doesn't bother to explain this to you, you don't know how it works. One of the gods, for example, requires you to be in your man-down state for an extended period of time before you can summon it. It's weird. You can't save the move up, because it's not a consumable, it's not a bar. So every time the summon appears, use it. Straight away. And yeah, I'll be honest, the combat is a little bit awkward feeling at times, simply because it does really feel like this combat evolved from a turn-based battle system, rather than, well, a hack and slash, which is what this game is. And of course, another thing that makes this really feel like it's a genuine road trip is the people that you're with.
It just occurred to me, but this is totally like King's Night.
Huh?
There's 4 of us, just like in the game.
Well, then I gotta be a 5-star character.
Hell no. If anyone here is a rare, it's me.
I mean, besides assisting you in combat, which of course they do, your other 3 teammates have other abilities outside of combat. Your character, Prince Noctis, has a fondness for fishing. Whenever you come across a fishing icon on screen, well, you can go fishing. And you can even customise your various bits of gear and tackle to help catch certain types of fish in different locations. The fish even drop food items that are added to your inventory.
Oh.
Not bad.
Gladiolus' world skill is survival. He randomly picks up items after a battle, and as his skill improves, his range of items that he tends to find also improve.
Let it be done.
So long! Yeah.
Ignis is the group's cook, and he is capable of whipping up any dish that he's already got the recipe to. You need to have the food ingredients in your team's inventory in order to cook it, but the point is that cooking a meal at a campsite provides powerful stat boosts to your party for the following day. So when your party makes camp for the night, it's always worth making a particular food item to boost your party for the following day. I'm getting hungry just looking at this. Finally, Prompto is a photographer, and he takes pictures of pretty much every major event you go through, even in the middle of a fight. Seriously, when does this guy whip out his camera?
Now that's what I call a good shot.
Well taken.
If I had any criticisms of this game, it's mainly around the very simplistic nature of the combat, and in particular how much driving in the car you have to do. I know that you can fast travel around, but when you first start the game, fast travelling isn't an option because you haven't gone anywhere yet, because you have to go somewhere first in order for fast travel to unlock. And thereafter you have to pay for fast travel, only a little bit. When you start in the game, a little bit is a lot. There's also the fact that after 6 or 8 hours you'll be bloody sick of driving around in the car. You'll be sick of the constant mechanic of having to wait to get to where you're going. Don't worry though, because in chapter 5, I believe it is, the car gets taken off of you.
The Empire has it.
Oh god. All of a sudden, you're relegated to walking everywhere. You have to walk about 3 or 4 miles between these lightning pillars as part of this mission before you get the car back. If you were sick of the car before, you'll be bloody glad to have it back. You really will. And of course, with this being the Royal Edition, we have to talk about, well, the Royal Editions. You get 3 expanded story episodes, each one based on one of your 3 teammates. They're fine. You get a range of weapons as well. They're more powerful than the other starting weapons. They get outclassed fairly quickly, but it's nice to get you going. You get a couple of vouchers which give you 50% off certain things like fuel or lodgings. Again, just to help get you started. You also get a few items like an extra camera, which changes the filter a little bit. You get a set of fishing tackle, which improves your ability to fish, or at least makes it easier to get the fish out of the water. And a few different paint jobs for the regalia. There's a few different things here. There's also a multiplayer section to the game. I didn't play that because I didn't come to this game for the multiplayer. All in all, the Royal Edition gives you quite a few extras. Some you could argue you don't need, but nevertheless they're nice to have. And obviously this is a game that was released last year, so at release the Royal Edition cost me 35 quid. And for a game that's this expansive, I mean the story is about 40 hours long, and bearing in mind I was getting sidetracked by the side content quite a bit. It's a brilliant experience from start to finish. I haven't really encountered a game like this that makes me feel like I'm on a road trip. Things like Dragon Age Inquisition, you go around with a team of 4, but you just feel like you're sort of going round and you're just sort of doing quests. Even things like The Witcher 3. This feels like a proper road trip. I've said it before, I'll say it again, and plenty of other people have said it. Road trip. It's the best way to describe this game, and it's a brilliant experience. Well, at least until the halfway point at which it stops being a road trip and starts being just a linear hack and slash, at which point the story doesn't get any worse, but it's just like the game loses what made it special, what made it unique, and it really does feel unique to this game. It is totally worth a purchase, seriously. The final score for Final Fantasy XV Royal Edition is an 8 out of 10. This is a great game and I enjoyed my time with it. I wouldn't mind going back on it again. Yes, there are some flaws. The combat is a little weird and halfway through it kind of loses its way. But even then, I didn't disengage from the game. I was still following these characters very closely. And that is the perfect word to describe them, characters. In a weird kind of way, this story is character driven. It's the 4 of them being in this tight-knit group, exploring the world, getting to know new people, seeing new places, taking photographs of it and saving them in a scrapbook, camping round the fire, eating meals together. Hell, if you leave the game standing and you watch them round the campfire, or even in the hotel rooms or the caravans or wherever you're staying, you can see them just hanging out. And it's brilliant. It's a proper road trip adventure. There I go saying it again. Sorry, I can't help it. It's a road trip, okay? It just is. So that was Final Fantasy XV. 8 out of 10. Great game. Royal Edition. Sorry, it's the Royal Edition I reviewed, technically. What did you think of the game? Or like me, haven't you got around to it yet? Leave a comment down below. What did you think of my video? Hit the like or dislike buttons. And if you can't get enough of a prat in a cloak talking about video games, feel free to hit the subscribe button. See you next time. I really need a green screen. I mean, that's the reason for the format change, by the way. That's why I don't want to sit down in the chair anymore. I want to be able to move around a little. Well, if I start moving, I'll move away from the microphone. Shit. I'll have to, yeah. But green screen. I want a green screen. This wall won't work. I've tried. Doesn't work. Need some proper lights and everything. I'm dreaming a bit bigger. Few weeks and I might have something.